Hi viewers. The subject of this video is transitive verb and transitive verb. Watch the video and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Transitive and intransitive verbs. Verbs in English can be divided into two groups, transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs. Transitive verbs require an object to complete their meaning. Imagine that I say, I bought. This sentence is incomplete. There is information that is missing. You are probably wondering what I bought. What did you buy, Rob? Why is this sentence incomplete? Because bought, the past of buy, is a transitive verb, and a transitive verb needs an object after it to complete the sentence. The object after a transitive verb can be a noun or a pronoun. I bought a car. Now the sentence is complete and we can understand it. We added the object a car after the verb. Transitive verbs. Let's look at some other examples. If someone says, she likes. Incomplete, incorrect. You probably think, she likes what? What does she like? Like is a transitive verb, so we need an object after the verb. She likes chocolate. Now we know what she likes, so this sentence is complete and correct. I invited Angelica. You cannot just say I invited because the sentence is incomplete. The person who is listening would probably ask, whom did you invite? So we need an object, in this case a person, after the transitive verb invite. I cut my finger. You cannot just say I cut because the sentence is incomplete. The person who is listening would probably ask, cut what? Cut is a transitive verb because you need to cut something, an object, a thing. Transitive verbs passive form. Transitive verbs can have a passive form. Active, subject plus transitive verb plus object passive, object plus was slash were plus transitive verb, plus by subject. Thief stole his car. Active. His car was stolen. Passive. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Active. The light bulb was invented by Thomas Edison. Passive. They sold some books. Active. Some books were sold. Passive. Example sentences using transitive verbs. We enjoyed the concert. I opened the door. She kicked the ball. He took me to a restaurant. I saw an accident. He copied my answer. How to identify a transitive verb? Transitive verbs are not just verbs that can take an object, they demand objects. Without an object to effect, the sentence that a transitive verb inhabits will not seem complete. Please bring coffee. In this sentence, the verb bring is transitive, its object is coffee, the thing that is being brought. Without an object of some kind, this verb cannot function. Please bring. Bring what, or who? The question begs itself because the meaning of bring demands it. Here are some more examples of transitive verbs and their objects. The girls carry water to their village. Lila conveyed the message. Each of the verbs in these sentences have objects that complete the verb's actions. If the objects were taken out, the results would be illogical and questions would be raised in the mind of the reader. For example, Lila conveyed. Conveyed what? Intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs cannot have a direct object after them. The subject is doing the action of the verb and nothing receives the action. An intransitive verb does not pass the action to an object. He arrived. Here we cannot have an object after the intransitive verb arrived. You cannot arrive something, incorrect. An intransitive verb expresses an action that is complete in itself and it doesn't need an object to receive the action. The baby smiled. Here we cannot have an object after the intransitive verb smiled. You cannot smile something, incorrect. The apple fell from the tree. You cannot fall something, so the verb is intransitive. From the tree is not an object, it is an adverbial phrase, equals it acts like an adverb and tells us where it happened. The same rules apply to intransitive phrasal verbs. You cannot have an object after an intransitive phrasal verb. I get up at 6 every morning. Example sentences using intransitive verbs. We arrived around midday. She sneezed loudly. Your baby cries a lot. His grandfather died last year. The rain fell heavily. I was waiting but nothing happened. The jokes were not funny and nobody laughed. I walked to work every day. We sat on the bench. He stood in the corner. We waited but nobody came. Verbs that are transitive and intransitive. Many verbs can be both transitive and intransitive. They can be transitive in one sentence and intransitive in another sentence. These are called ambitransitive verbs. You have grown since I last saw you. Intransitive. You have grown a beard since I last saw you. Transitive. Sometimes the meaning changes depending on whether the verb is transitive or intransitive. He runs along the beach every morning. Intransitive, run, the action/sport. He runs a small grocery store. Transitive, run equals manage. The plane will take off in 5 minutes. Intransitive, take off equals to leave the ground and begin to fly. Please take off your shoes before entering the house. Transitive, take off equals to remove something. Example sentences of verbs that are both transitive and intransitive. Transitive, intransitive. I stopped the car. The car stopped. I broke my coffee mug. My coffee mug broke. The summer heat melted my ice cream. My ice cream melted. She speaks Arabic. She speaks very quickly. Mike is reading a book. Mike is reading. New Zealand won the match. New Zealand won. A good dictionary will tell you whether a verb is transitive, usually VT, or TR, next to the verb in dictionaries, or intransitive, VI or INTR. How to identify an intransitive verb? An intransitive verb is the opposite of a transitive verb. It does not require an object to act upon. They jumped. The dog ran. She sang. A light was shining. None of these verbs require an object for the sentence to make sense, and all of them can end a sentence. Some imperative forms of verbs can even make comprehensible one-word sentences. Run. Sing. A number of English verbs can only be intransitive, that is, they will never make sense paired with an object. Two examples of intransitive-only verbs are arrive and die. You can't arrive something, and you certainly can't die something. It is impossible for an object to follow these verbs. Transitive or intransitive? Some verbs can be both. Many verbs can be classified as both transitive and intransitive depending on how they are used in a sentence. Urged by the others, she sang. She sang the national anthem at the hockey game. After he cleaned up, he left. He left the gift on the table. To decide whether the verb is being used transitively or intransitively, all you need to do is determine whether the verb has an object. Does she sing something? Does he leave something? The verb is only transitive when the answer is yes. When in doubt, look it up. In the dictionary, verbs will be listed as transitive, intransitive, or both right under the pronunciation key, and any possible differences in meaning between the two uses will be given as well. Phrasal verbs and transitivity. Phrasal verbs can also be classified as transitive or intransitive. Cindy has decided to give up sweets while she diets. I hope Cindy doesn't give up. Give up is just one of many phrasal verbs that can be transitive or intransitive. Whether give up has an object or not will alter the meaning it conveys. The first sense of give up means to forego something, whereas the second sense means to stop trying. If we refuse to learn about transitivity, the grammar police will blow up our building. When the grammar police confronted her about her verbs, she blew up. The first sense of to blow up means to explode, whereas the second sense means to express rage. Transitive or intransitive is just one of the many classifications a verb can have. Perhaps you will be inspired to read more about the fascinating qualities of verbs. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to our channel. Test your English grammar for more videos regarding English grammar.